today's Thursday, March 5th, 2020. We are here for a work session. Please stand for the pledge. Tim, can you take the lead?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. First on the agenda, we have Tom Carson, President of the Riverhead Rotary Club, to discuss an annual grant. Come forward, please.
Morning.
Good morning,
Morning,
Tom.
Good morning.
Nice to see you all smiley.
Nothing to be unhappy about.
All right.
Okay, so on behalf of Rotary, the incoming president has awarded a grant to do something in the community. Whether it be improve a street, a light, create a memorial, put a bench or a plaque, something that we could leave there and shows a sign of like anything that supports the positive growth of the area. Sometimes we give it to a charity. So my thought this year was do something different. Just put something in place, make a change, so the community sees the efforts of us and you together just to make it better.
Perfect.
Something, just an idea. So, you know, you can come up with some ideas. We can look at something, an area that may be weak. We can look at something we may want to award, maybe a plaque, maybe 9/11, a veteran, a memorial. In that case, you know, we just come to a conclusion together. But it's you guys that can make the
Yeah,
decision.
because the Rotary did the gazebo behind the Culinary Institute, right, with the clock tower?
I think so.
Yep.
Okay,
Use that.
something on the riverfront would be good, downtown.
I gotta think about this.
Right, you can
Okay.
think about it.
Yes.
How much are we
How much
talking
is the
about?
grant?
We get 5,000.
That's
Okay.
very
That does something.
usable.
Yeah.
Well, between the, all the events we do, like you're aware of the Rotary Uncorked event we do in
That's
May.
a great event.
Oh, yeah, you gotta get your tickets early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
awesome.
why do you keep scheduling it when we have a town board meeting?
I think it's the third Wednesday of every, in May, but,
No, we have a meeting.
so you can't go.
But I think
I'm late.
an interesting project would be the trails at Sharper Hill with Rotary benches or something for dedication for Rotary there in Jamesport. We have the property that was preserved and we have to create trails, and we could probably partner with you on that to do some improvement there in Jamesport. That's
That's a good suggestion.
a project that,
Okay, well, it's a lot to
think
think
about.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
I'm
think
gonna
about
think-
it.
Yeah, this is a
would
good
all-
problem.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
Yes.
For
You're right,
once.
Frank.
We bring peace.
Yeah.
That'd be
Thank
nice.
you.
I mean,
And good
that's not a
food.
bad idea, but I also like the idea of doing something downtown too.
Yes, I
Especially
That's
since
why
you're on the river,
It's
it'd be
something
nice.
to
Yeah.
brainstorm about
Yeah.
and take a look
Mhm.
around, open, and we can get back together whenever you guys wanna do. We don't have to do it right now, we can do it, I take office in July,
Okay.
Okay.
so anytime next year it can get done. So we have some time, there's no pressure.
next year's
good.
2021?
This July,
Okay, so
July.
this year the project
July
has
1,
to get done,
2020. No, I take office July 1st, 2020.
right?
So thereafter, we could have a whole year to get it in place.
No, okay.
Okay.
So there's no pressure.
So we have time?
We have time to
Good.
think.
Perfect.
Well, good for you stepping up as president.
And thank you
Yeah.
for coming forward to offer that to us.
You're
Right.
welcome. I think it's good.
Just
Yeah.
like when you have
That's
a
a
little
great way to
money.
start the meeting. This is the best
Yeah.
issue
I
we've had
know.
so
Yes.
far.
So what's the day of your event? What is May?
I think it's the third Wednesday in
Okay, we'll look it up.
May. I don't know the date.
It's out of control. It's got everything.
Yes.
It does, yeah.
Raffles are great.
Yeah.
Get your tickets ahead of time.
We will.
Yeah, you sell out.
We do. It's a great event.
It's a beautiful event, it really is.
I
People
worked with Pat Wiles to start the first one.
And Pat still runs it.
Yeah.
Pat does a really good job. Well, everybody kind of cooperates.
I saw the engagement there. So many people working together, walking around, selling the raffles, smiling.
Raises a lot of money.
Well,
We raise
it
a lot for the
highlights all
community.
our local produce and such too. I mean, it highlights our local residents and wine.
Yes.
I just want to mention quickly that, speaking of Pat Wiles, he'll be honored on March 13th at the annual New York, Long Island Farm Bureau's annual gala. He's going to be the awardee for non-farmer, with Jeff Rotkamp being the farmer citizen for the year.
At
So-
Polish Hall?
At Polish Hall.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, get your tickets
Be
and
there.
come down. Pat's a great
Love
guy,
Pat.
and so
Pat's
is
a great guy.
Jeff Rotkamp, so,
Good
well
stuff.
deserved.
Definitely, Pat.
Good stuff.
Good?
Again,
Hey.
thank
All
you.
right, guys, thank you.
Thanks,
Talk
Tom.
to you all
Appreciate.
soon, okay?
Good seeing you.
Thanks,
Okay.
Tom.
Thank you,
Hi,
Tom.
Okay, Next on the agenda, Ambulance Corp., possible adjustments to money supplied for seasonal coverage and possible change of radio system. Yeah,
Oh,
you caught us at a good moment.
Oh, why? Now you're gonna.
Today's gonna be a good
You're not
one.
gonna like this one.
Gonna be a good meeting, good meeting,
Hey,
cohesive,
Make us mad,
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
working together, great.
We had a conversation last year. First of all, Garrett Lake, president of Riverhead Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and
Mike Caron, I'm the assistant chief.
there you go. We had a conversation last year regarding coverage out east, especially from the summer months through the fall. With traffic being so bad, it was taking the ambulance more time, police cars, everything, with the traffic, to respond. So we had concerns from residents out there, and we talked to the ambulance about possibly setting up, they have a substation, they keep a rig there, but it's generally not manned. So we wanted to know a cost factor involving manning that station on the weekends, during the month, during the Memorial, well, we're gonna talk Memorial Day to the end of October? End of October. To have people manned on the weekends during the heavy traffic time, which would basically be the daytime, the day to
From
to
10 to
evening.
6 p.m.
Right. This way, response could be so much faster out there. And, it's not the people of Jamesport's fault that the traffic's there, so we want to make it as best we can for them. And I think with working with the town and with the budget, we were able to come up with some money and figure out a way to do this. And you guys have worked hard on this and put together some facts and figures, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, and this was discussed during the budget process with
Yes.
the
Yes.
former president, where we had found the money
Mhm.
and we were going to wait until it was needed in order to implement it, so.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about moving forward with this for a while. It's scary to think about.
It is, if you're a
With the
resident out
traffic,
there,
right.
it's
So,
absolutely.
I don't blame them for being concerned
So
about it.
last summer, Van Helman, you guess he's the Greater Civic Association.
Yes, president.
Myself and Keith Lewin, who's the past president, had a discussion with him, and their concerns
Mhm.
were that it takes a long time to get an ambulance out there.
Sure.
So we went back, all of our PCRs, we had Sarah and Al, did a thorough investigation of what
Yeah,
was
be
going on.
louder.
Louder?
Sorry. Our district manager and Sarah did an investigation, and we looked at all the times during these hours, and we were realizing that we were having response times in the 15 to 20-minute range
Right.
for some calls. The majority of our calls happen in the center of Riverhead, and then we get that call in Jamesport where all of our rigs are tied up on an MVA, and it seems like it happens all the time. So we came to the town and asked if we could get a little more funding to get, so what we did was, initially it was from July to October,
Mhm.
but our district manager ran some figures, and we realized we could staff it from May or Memorial Day, Labor Day, Memorial Day to the end of October.
Sure.
And still be within the price that we discussed. So,
Mhm.
we were discussing possibly 30,000, and our figure's about 19,000. We would like to keep it 30,000, just in case for any overtime and any other, we have, there's a special event out there, we can provide paid coverage for that too. 'Cause as you know, if we have a long transport, we may have a crew that has to go to Stony Brook with a trauma, so we could incur some overtime figures on that, so. This is just our basic number from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And that will be a EMT and a paramedic
And a paramedic every Saturday and Sunday
every Saturday and
from
Sunday.
10 to 6.
On the weekends?
Yes.
And that's been in the works for some time, and you have the money in the budget, and it's a great thing.
It's an
Yeah.
awesome thing.
Yep.
It provides a great service. You guys do a great job, and, we need you so badly, and to have you delayed in getting to your response calls out there because of traffic is, anything we can do to improve that, this is perfect idea, so.
Yeah, this is gonna solve a lot of our problems too, I think, on the west end too, because instead of having a rig having from our central location, having to go all the way to Jamesport, we're gonna have more rigs in central to go west if we have to, so
Mhm.
I think it's gonna kill two birds with one
It's
stone.
gonna enhance the system overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
a-
'cause actually, do you ever see a concern with Wading River, or?
Well, we are
The
having.
traffic is more out the other way.
We're having a lot more call volume in the Grumman area,
Mhm.
which is our next concern we're gonna talk about next, but, with this new, facility that's going in, we don't know what's gonna happen. If we don't know if they're gonna have their own ambulance, or it's gonna be a tax on our 911 system.
But, you know, that type of facility could generate
Right.
hundreds of calls for us, which could be a problem, so we're hoping they get their own coverage, but.
I was talking to President Garrett this morning, and one of the concerns is that a lot of your members do not live in the Jamesport area. So that hurts the response time a little bit too, if you're responding from your home to the scene. So maybe just a shout out to anybody interested in joining and becoming an EMT or a paramedic, that we are looking for people and always kind of looking for people, as much as the fire department does. And so if you're interested, you can certainly call Town Hall or call the RTVAC, Riverhead Town Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and get the wheels rolling.
You have a telephone number for
Yep, it's 631.
631
727
727
1686.
1686?
I
Okay.
remember a couple of years ago, we had one weekend where I think there was a Halleckville thing, there was pumpkin picking, I feel like there was an accident.
And something
Is
like
that
that.
when we
we'll
had the
have a-
fire?
Yep,
Yeah.
we had
And
the
there was a
fires
house
as well.
fire on the main road.
Right, and it was just, everything came
nightmare.
together, and
Yeah.
we have to plan for that, so.
And that's the problem, Riverhead's becoming a city in itself, and,
Right.
you know, it has, here you have a little bit of everything, you have the farming, you have the heavy industrial in Drummond, you know, there's some things going on here that we don't even know about, and you just have to have the manpower. I mean, thank God for our volunteers, because the cost savings of them, you know, handling the 6 PM to midnight, that's all volunteers, I don't know if everybody knows that, but from 6 PM at night to midnight, it's 100% volunteer, so that's
That's
where the
amazing.
cost savings is, in how we're able to provide the service for Riverhead at the cost. that
And
we
you
do.
guys get up in the middle of the night, respond to calls, and have to go to work the next day, just like our fire department. I mean, it's incredible, and we really appreciate it.
No doubt.
Thank you.
Very grateful for our
Thank-
volunteers.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service, and
Great.
be safe.
Yeah, I'm glad we
have
could
one
get
more
this
thing,
done.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
one more thing.
Yeah, we have one more.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Alright,
This one's,
so this is the big one. This is the big one.
Oh.
Thank you.
This is the big one.
Okay.
So-
This
This
is,
is the radio that we.
hoping for something like this. Well, we have discussed some of it.
yeah.
So last year, as everybody knows, we had that catastrophic radio failure.
Unbelievable.
There's nothing less to call it. And having that radio failure, during that, we realized we had no backup system, and that was a failure. So it put us in a position where we had, for a minimal time, we had no radio communications. Thanks to our chiefs and their quick thinking, they were able to get a hold of the county and get us a ton of radios to maintain our service. Lieutenant Lassard was a big push with this too. But everybody worked together, and there were no missed calls, no incidents that we have to report. But now we have to fix the problem. So right now, we have a brand-new repeater that was installed, thank you for getting that done for us. But our radio communications is not great. In the central area of Riverhead, it's good. We do have good coverage, but it's not great. Grumman's is a complete dead spot for us. So once we enter the gates of the Grumman's, we can't hear anything anywhere. Once we're on the beaches, or we're in the moto tracks that we have now, we have no communications. And when we have a call on the moto track in Grumman, it's usually very serious, it's usually traumatic. We usually need resources, Gator, a helicopter, and we can't relay those information. The only ones that can usually talk are the police officers, because they're on a different frequency. So we're proposing, the last administration, we didn't have this option at that point, but now we do. We spoke with the county Fres, they have their own 800 system. We run off of UHF at this time, and they built this great system that now they're giving channels to each town.
And we're gonna have a channel dedicated to you or
It's
both,
gonna
the
be to the
police?
town.
So currently, the way that the Department of Fire Rescue and Emergency Services has set it up for the town of Riverhead, there are 2 talk groups that are allocated for the township.
Right. And who's,
And the primary users would be either fire or EMS.
okay,
And there are only 2 fire departments out of the 3 that would need that talk group to communicate with Suffolk County, which leaves the other the other talk group rather vacant. And we've spoken with Fire Rescue, and Fire Rescue is perfectly fine with us utilizing that talk group as a primary means of dispatch and communication.
and that would be okay with the county?
Yes.
Okay,
That-
'cause sometimes there are wars between channels,
So
No,
we,
no,
and we
they-
don't wanna get into
They
that.
were 100% supportive.
And we can have a commitment to that
Yes.
effect. We will have a commitment.
Yep.
so so right
if
now.
you go to the radios.
Yeah.
Correct.
You don't wanna purchase the radios and then you don't have the commitment to the
Correct.
channel and then we're stuck with, okay,
So-
perfect.
So
You'd
right now,
have to do like
there's,
an intermunicipal agreement or something to
Yeah.
that
Yes.
effect with the county so that it was clear.
so it's their channel, so we have we talked to Greg Minuti, who's the commissioner of,
Chief,
the
chief
the
communications.
chief communication, and he told us it's his channel. He will never kick us off of it, so we want to get on there first, but it will be a usable channel for us. PD is already set up to talk on it because they did when we had the failure. So that end is perfect. The only cost to us is gonna be buying the radio.
God bless.
We've already started buying.
Now, let me, before you go further with the radios, this is gonna extend into EPCAL, into the beaches,
It's
Yep.
gonna
into
extend,
the areas, and it's
Yes.
gonna cover all of Wading River.
it will cover the entire county.
Right, so you're updating the entire system
Correct.
you're gonna have a dedicated channel with, a commitment from the county that you, have the dedicated channel. You're gonna get that commitment before you purchase the radios.
Gonna have to do an intermunicipal agreement.
Yes.
Right.
Are they looking for a licensing fee or anything from the ambulance?
It's all paid
No,
through
this
by
is
the taxes.
That's
already
good.
issued out to the departments, they're already out there, radios are being programmed with these talk groups already in place, and they are there to be utilized. There is no set, standard per the county as to what they're gonna utilize them for, and it's it will be a significant cost savings to the taxpayers of Riverhead. If you're going to a county system, it's maintained by the county, they take care of everything. You could go stand in Montauk, I could go stand in Babylon, and we can talk like we're standing next to each other.
That's great.
Do the radios work like in the basements of some of the commercial establishments that we have here, in the hospital and the
Yes.
school? Because right now, there's a big problem with the repeaters in
Yes.
those
So
locations.
the hospital has put in a repeater to take care of this problem. They did it for the police department. It will work for us. So they already took care of that, and that's our main issue. Now, this radio that we wanna purchase can do both. It can talk on the new channel, it can talk on our old channel.
Okay,
So that new channel, we're not gonna get rid of our old channel. That's gonna be in our view, our backup, because it works decent. So there's really no reason for us to spend any money on a backup, because we have one, we have our own. And the radios that we wanna purchase are capable of talking on it already, and so are the dispatchers. So this
So is
radio.
the brand the APX
It's a
8000?
Motorola, yes, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Motorola, okay.
Yes.
Now, Motorola has I guess the sole proprietor on this. They're the only ones that you can buy radios for. So the county went with this Motorola, so that's why obviously these prices are high, because you can't buy any other radio to work on this system
Well,
besides a Motorola.
the one thing I was just noticing was that as you buy more, the price doesn't go down. It
No.
stays exactly the same.
Yeah, that is the big
And-
downside.
yeah.
Motorola is not,
Yeah, I saw
Typically,
that. I
fair.
looked at that
typically,
first.
when you buy
Like
more, the
Apple
price
iPhones
comes
or
down.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's like
are the
buying an
most
Apple
effective.
product, yeah.
Price is
and
what it is everywhere you go.
durable, the most effective and durable
Yeah, 'cause
radios, and that's why law enforcement and emergency responders utilize them, but they're expensive.
Yes.
Because right now, to
Question.
get our communications to where they need to be, we'd have to do work on the Grumman Towers in the Wading River area, which is quite a bit of money, and then we would also have to do something in Jamesport, because we have a lot of dead spots out there.
Yeah.
So. this-
Ultimately, this could be cheaper than making the repairs and the upgrades that we have to do for the current system.
Absolutely.
And this is a much better system to go to, so
Much
it
better.
it sounds.
And how many units do you need?
So, I just wanted to say one thing.
Okay.
The one thing that we like about this is, the police department, I was talking to Lieutenant Lasarda, I was hoping he was gonna be here.
Yeah, me too.
But what's nice about these radios too is that our current radios, if we dropped them, or someone left it on scene, a civilian can pick that radio up and start saying crazy stuff on it. With this new radio system, and you can't do it with our radios, but with this new radio system, it's a phone call to either the dispatcher at Riverhead or the dispatcher at Fred and say, hey, radio number such and such is lost. They
Shut
can
it
shut
off.
it down. So they can dead the radio. So in a world of what's going on now, this is
Mhm.
a plus, to be able to shut those radios down. And some of these radios you can actually track. And in the future, you'll be able to track and see where they're going, so that's one plus.
Yep.
So,
And you have
Now,
the
what-
funding,
Now, will these,
the funding that we do have, the reserve account, which I believe has,
Okay.
money.
1.4 million or something like that.
And there's some in there, I know some of it's earmarked for, ambulances and stuff, but there is enough, we believe, to make the purchase. Now, we were just going over these options, we gave a couple of, options here. The chief went over it and, really tailored it to what we really need. So the best option here is the 80 radios. The 80 radios would pretty much put us in tip-top shape. We wouldn't have to buy a radio for
A while.
years. That would put us to where we could get everybody a radio that needs one and should. The middle option is where we really would like to be, because that would put us in a position to where the ambulance could keep up with buying a couple radios a year and maintaining it and getting us to that number eventually. If we go to the lowest option, we're gonna have, that's gonna be a tough, number for us to do every year. It's gonna take too long, and it's gonna be a burden on what we get as a tax base. So if we could, we're trying to stay in the middle option. The middle option would give us plenty of radios to maintain. If we're a little short, we can still try to use the older system to let members respond. We just have to talk to Lassard to see if the dispatchers can manage the 2 channels at once.
Now, these are not in addition to the radios you have, these will replace,
Correct.
so you won't be able to use the other ones.
So you will. If we maintain the other frequency, you can utilize it as a reserve or a backup or for a special event that would free the main channel up and it wouldn't cause any interference.
Interesting.
The capability of these radios is phenomenal. Not only will it allow us to talk on, it's the system that we would like to go to is the exact same system that the police department is currently using. It's the exact same system. So we'll have the same coverage that they do. These particular radios will allow us to communicate on that system. It will allow us to communicate on the current UHF system that we're operating on. And it will also allow us to communicate on the statewide and countywide backup VHF system. So the multitude of possibilities and options that these radios provide is extravagant. And
Countywide would allow you to have access to the helicopter.
Yeah.
correct,
Because right now,
absolutely.
when we
Helicopter,
leave-
medical control, physicians, hospital, everything.
When
These
our- when
radios
our-
are gonna make your life easier.
Much, and it improve the quality of
And
care
the
that we're able to
safety, yeah.
provide,
As
absolutely.
soon as we leave, as soon as we go past, we get on the expressway, we have no more communication with our dispatcher. So when our ambulances, once they leave that all the way to Stony Brook and back, there's no communication. So if they're in the ambulance yelling for help, they're not getting our dispatcher. And if they're not well trained, they don't know that they can switch down to another thing, and that's a safety issue for us, you know. 'Cause they should just be able to call one channel, hey, I need help, give me a highway unit, you know. And right now we can't. They're completely dead. So.
Now, in some ways, I like the option with that orders the most, because we are growing, and I always believe in long-range planning, except that anytime with technology, I think, well, with the technology, we have all these, and then the technology changes. That's my only concern about ordering so many.
The county I understand that worry, it's a great concern. You buy a new computer and in
Right,
2 years
and
you're
it's
buying a new
outdated.
one, yeah.
You have this
Uh,
computer, and now that's made like this.
This system has been in place with the county for, since the early 2000s, just post 9/11 era. And they've been maintaining it since, and they've actually are in the process of completing an upgrade to the system. So the ability with the system that they have in place is that it's expandable and it's able to be upgraded as times do change and new technology advances. So this would keep us in line with them, and I foresee that this would keep us in a very safe technological spot for the foreseeable future. And if they do decide to change bandwidths or frequency spectrums or anything like that, this particular model has all of those options. They're all included, so it's just a simple reprogramming and back up and running. You know, the interoperability that these offer is extravagant. It really is.
Because you're not losing the channel either. You know, say tomorrow, county was like, oh, we're getting rid of the 800 system, we have to go back to these radios can do that. It's just switching a channel.
Flip
Okay.
it or not.
And that's what's good about these radios. Like our current UHF can't talk on these, but these can talk on both.
Mhm.
So we currently use, just so you guys know, we do use them right now. We bought, last year we bought all of our chiefs and a few officers these radios to test them. And we've had great success with them.
Tremendous success.
They're very clear. You can hear everything they say. It's just like what the police use. So
How many do you actually need? Would you need to outfit everybody that needs one?
80.
80 would outfit everybody in
Correct. I
the
have
corps.
approximately 80 portable radios in circulation right now. And that outfits everybody. And that's the ultimate where we would be safe. Obviously, that 40, if we kicked it down to 40, we're still operable.
Right.
Not everybody would have a radio in their hand, but we would create a cache or a bank where they could be
Issued.
available or issued out as necessary while on duty, things of that
Right.
nature. 80 puts us in the, like I said, the best possible scenario.
80 puts us in a range where for the next 5 years, we're not buying another radio. If 40 is gonna.
Possibly more.
Possibly, probably a lot more. So if we do 40, we're gonna have to buy more radios probably for the next couple of years at, 4 or 5 at a clip.
But you're saying you have the money, so you could do the best option, you're saying. But does that tap you and leave you without any kind of surplus for emergencies or?
Well, I don't really know exactly what's in that account right now, because it's, I think it's your account. The
Yes.
district account, so
Yes.
I don't
We
know
need to look at
exactly what's
that.
in it, but I know there's enough in there to do this and plus an ambulance if we needed it and a responder, I know.
And the ambulance billing, the fees that we're collecting is increasing on an annual basis also.
I think so, yeah. I didn't get word on
Yeah.
if it got approved yet.
Bill, you wanna come up for the,
I just have a
Now
question
Bill's
for you,
here.
because
yeah, just get right to it.
I attended an event last year where it was in the basement and somebody had passed out in the basement, and I noticed that the ambulances had to run upstairs and outside of the building in order to get on the radio to find a location to take this person, whether it was Stony Brook or it was Peconic Bay, and where the doctor was available to treat this person. And you guys were running up and down the stairs trying to get a connection. Is there something that we could be doing better with new buildings that are being built so that they are equipped to, so that you can operate your radios anywhere within the building?
I do believe that there is, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I've heard rumors to the effect that there's some sort of a law or a fire code possibly where they require buildings of a certain size to install in building
A repeater?
either amplifiers or a repeater to eliminate those problems. Don't quote me on it, that's what I heard rumored to the effect of, but.
Well, it would make sense with the new apartments we have coming
Yeah.
downtown that are pretty large units and
Correct.
a lot of metal, a lot of cement for radio waves to go through.
It's just cement,
So
it's,
maybe you can, Tim, as liaison to the ambulance, maybe you can check to see if that has been adopted on a state level, or whether or not we need to put something into our code, and as liaison to planning also, whether we should be doing a code revision to make sure that that's a requirement.
Absolutely.
It won't apply to older buildings, usually.
No.
New
This
construction
type-
is
yeah.
what I said.
Yep,
So what we got, Bill?
all right, let's go.
Well, I don't know, we have two reserves in the
Uh-huh.
ambulance district. One is
What
about
are they?
One is $40,000, and that's for buildings based on the insurance that we get back for motor vehicle accidents. The second one, I'm trying to get the information now, is reserved for motor vehicles. So I need to take those two off of the fund balance to see what we have available for anything else. So I will let you know as soon as I get a response from that. I'm just having a problem with the Wi-Fi in here, so it's taking a while.
Speaking of service in buildings.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on my phone, it just doesn't go,
None of
so
us
now I
can.
can send it through here. So as soon as I get that, I will let you guys know what it is.
So it's your mobile carrier that's the problem in here?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In here, it's AT&T that just doesn't.
Yep, I know, mine doesn't either.
Verizon's a little bit better, but not a whole lot.
Mhm.
So I'm sending an email now instead, just to get the information. As soon as I get it, I'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Do you have any rigs that need to be retrofitted coming up, or do you have any that 2025?
yeah. We did that, 2 years ago, we did
Right.
all
Right.
the ambulances, and due to an incident, we have a new responder now, so I think we're pretty much good on all of our stuff right now for a while.
Good.
I think we have a first responder that's coming up soon.
So,
Might be the chief's car.
The chief's
Be the chief's car.
do you have an extra copy of this for Bill, so that he can make sure that this is in there also?
And just, also, I wanted to just give this to you, Tim. This was an agreement that I talked to Lieutenant Lassard about, I just wanted you to see it, is that, with the new radio system, right now, to listen to the police department, we have to use scanners. While we're going to calls, a lot of the times, the dispatcher gets information that's not relayed to us, so we try to listen as much as we can. Cardiac arrest, it comes over, they're talking and walking around, we don't usually get that information right away, so we're trying to be able to listen. We just wanna listen, not talk. So, this is an agreement that the county would need to program that
Mhm.
channel into our radios. Cause right now, we only have a scanner, which is in our, kitchen, so we'd like to be able to have the access to that on our radios, just so it's more of a safety thing, so we're not screaming to a call that's really not a serious call anymore, so.
So for the Alive on 25 events, you would fall back to the radios that you're currently using rather than these radios, so you'd be on the local frequency rather than,
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, 'cause we have plenty of those radios now, so that we can outfit.
Right, you could outfit a good number of people coming down
And with this,
working.
with this channel, they do have, with the county, with this new frequency, with the Frez, they do have another channel that is for mass events. So, because the police is on this channel, we're on this channel, we could all be on one channel together. So, if down the future, we ever wanted to make a channel for mass events in the town, so the police and EMS could be on one channel, it's very easy. It's not,
So with your new system, you're gonna it's gonna be redundant, right? And you're not gonna have the same type of failure you had last year?
Correct. If
Because
we-
you can easily just go right to your
Right to
older
it.
system?
Correct.
and it's just by switching the button on the top of the
That's
radio.
it.
That's it.
Easily done?
Easily, very user-friendly.
Okay.
For the end user, it's super easy. And there's actually more than one fail-safe built in, because you would operate with the county primarily. If that failed for whatever reason, we could switch back to our own. If that failed for whatever reason, then there's statewide backup channels that are also available.
Perfect.
And so
Okay.
it's kind of like a double redundancy in case of
Mhm.
a
It
catastrophic.
will always be available, because I don't know if the police currently have a backup. You know, I think, and it's in the same building that we just had, and I believe that it's all not working.
Mhm.
So, you know, these radios would be available for them too. I mean, if they had a failure, I've never heard of the 800 system going down, but if it
Never.
ever did, you know, we would have a thing of radios for them too. So,
Right.
you know, if they needed them, come get them, you know, so.
Great.
Makes a lot of sense for the safety of the community.
good.
Absolutely.
So Bill, I guess you could let us know on a spreadsheet as to what's being allocated already for the fund balance, and then we can decide, you know, and have, the supervisor can have the resolution drafted to
Okay.
allow for the acquisition of these radios.
Email it to all of us
I will.
when you get a
We'll do that,
chance?
yep.
Thank you so
Good.
much.
Thank you guys very much.
Have a
Thank you,
good day.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate
All
you
right.
coming in.
Bye,
Moving
Karen.
on,
See you later.
garbage collection.
I don't see Drew or,
Yeah.
You have Gio here.
okay, he's not in garbage collection though. He's the next
It's on
one.
the
Oh, okay.
cul-de-sac. But we don't have Heckenmiller.
Okay.
Where are these?
Is Devin here? Maybe she can put a call over to Chief? Yeah, to the chief, to get the chief here, and also Drew and Emery and,
Were these people notified, Jody?
yep.
Oh, okay.
Well, while we're waiting, I will mention I'll make an announcement, how's that?
Okay, perfect.
I'm just going to announce again that there is another litter pickup, there's a spring cleanup that's going to be happening,
Okay, and the
on
chief.
Sunday, April 26th, starting at 9 o'clock, and volunteers should meet at East Wind Shops. And
Okay.
and we'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Earth Day.
Okay.
Catherine, is this in addition to the one that was
Yes.
done here
This-
locally?
Yeah,
That
the one in
Councilman
Wading
Wooten used to set
River
up?
is with Brookhaven.
Okay,
The one that we have in the fall is just Riverhead.
okay.
But that's because Wading River is Brookhaven and Riverhead,
Mhm.
so the two towns work together on that one.
Oh, it's
And
2 times a
actually-
year, 2 different times a year too, which is good.
Yes, last year I went to the one in Wading River, I just went just because I wanted to help pick up garbage. And I saw what a well-oiled machine it was, and so I brought the two groups together.
Good.
That's good effort. A
Thank
lot of
you.
participants.
Yes, they had about 400 that year when
Yeah.
I went there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Magnolia's not here yet, so we can't move on to that one either,
Well,
right?
we just need Bob, and then
Bob.
we're good to
Bob's
go on this
definitely
one,
Bob.
right?
Oh, okay, good.
Morning, Drew.
How are you?
How you
Good, how are
doing?
you?
Good.
There he is.
All right.
Morning.
Morning.
And out.
Did you just hit your knee?
So,
Sorry?
Sounds like you hit your knee.
So I'll start out. So as liaison of sanitation, the Carter reached out to us and said that he wanted to have a meeting because he wanted to increase our fees for the garbage pickup.
Right.
And I had a meeting with the supervisor and Drew last Friday to brief her on what was happening, and we wanted to bring it to the entire town board so that we can make future decisions on garbage collection. So it's,
Yeah.
when our Carter was unable to bring our household waste to Southold, we met with Town of Brookhaven and we started bringing our household waste to Town of Brookhaven, which is a further distance, and there's a wait time of about an hour before they can tip. So and with minimum wage increasing and increasing again in a few more years, and the prevailing wage, the Carter is finding it very difficult to stay within the budget, and we don't want the same thing to happen in Riverhead that happened in Brookhaven, where the Carter just says, I'm not picking up and you figure it out. So we need to be in the forefront. Anne Marie has done some research, and we're trying to figure it out. We're working with the Carter now, when people put out bulk on household pickup day, which fills up the truck and they have to make more trips, that they are going to be receiving tickets from code enforcement for putting out bulk pickup on household waste days. So if your garbage pickup is on Monday, then your bulk pickup is on Thursday. If your garbage pickup is on Tuesday, your bulk pickup is on Friday, so that the trucks don't fill up and that our garbage tax doesn't go up. So Carter has been emailing engineering and code enforcement pictures. It started this week, where if somebody puts out bulk on a household garbage day, they're taking pictures, they're reporting the address to engineering and to code enforcement so that they can go out and write tickets, so that people get the message that they can't be doing that. And we had an incident yesterday where somebody emptied out a house that was vacated at the end of the month because it was a rental, and they put out all the garbage on the street. So this is going to be a good way to coordinate with code enforcement when it comes to rentals that we don't know about as well. And Emery, I'll let you go from there.
I don't know if you outlined this for them, but the town board will recall, we have a contract with the Carter for residential pickup, districts A through F. At the tail end of 2018, the garbage Carter contacted the town seeking an increase in the contractual rate, and he requested that and explained to engineering and to the town board that he was faced with a financial crisis in that, number one, the overseas market, in particularly China, had actually tightened up all its restrictions and was actually prohibiting a significant amount of garbage that was previously accepted from the United States. In addition, he had a contract with a solid waste facility, approximately, don't quote me on this, I think he was paying $78 a ton at the time he bid on the contract with the town, and a year into it, and the solid waste facility essentially breached the contract with him, so he was forced, and they were seeking to increase it to $90 per ton, despite the fact.
Weren't they
Yeah.
94, and then we went to Brookhaven and got it to 91, because the supervisor and I met with
Yes.
Ed Romaine and the sanitation in Brookhaven to see if they would take it for less, which they agreed to do.
Right. Well, that solid waste management facility never put it in writing to him and wasn't even looking to amend the contract, which put us at great risk, because even if we, let's say, went with that rate, we didn't have an ability to lock in the additional cost potentially to the taxpayer. So Councilwoman Giglio.
And we didn't
then-
trust that either,
Right.
the private
Yeah.
facility. We thought we'd be better off with the municipality that wouldn't just close their doors and say, you can't bring your garbage here anymore, which is what was happening.
Right, exactly. So the councilwoman and the then supervisor and Drew actually did a lot of research and made a lot of phone calls, and were able to actually secure a contract for our Carter with Brookhaven, and it locked in a price. And then the town board will recall, so in the beginning of 2019, there was an increase in the rate to our taxpayers to account for the fact that we had a large jump in the cost of disposal per ton. But the town negotiated it in a way where that increase would apply over a period of 3 years.
Right, and when I initially negotiated the garbage contract, we were getting paid for recyclables, and now it's costing us to dispose of recyclables. So it's really gonna be a big problem on Long Island, especially with the Brookhaven landfill closing in 2024, with the state regulations that closed all the landfills.
Yes.
And it's a shame to hear that our recyclables are, it's costing more to get the recyclables out of the state, and they're being brought upstate, or they're being brought to Ohio, and they're being buried into a hole. So it's, you know, we're doing our job in recycling, and then to hear that it's being buried into a hole upstate, or, you know, somewhere else in the country is very discouraging. But I'm glad that we didn't go to the single source recycling, which was a recommendation that was made many years ago, because that is a significant cost that Brookhaven has now in trying to retrain people's minds into separating. So we are, like I said, the Carter is now, it's costing him to get rid of our recyclables, so there is going to be a garbage increase. And the Brookhaven landfill is closing in 2024, and there is no plan as to where to bring our garbage to in the future. Drew and I and Shannon did attend a Long Island Regional Planning Council meeting last Thursday in Melville, where the Long Island Regional Planning Council is researching this and looking into what will happen and new markets for ash, because we bring our material to Brookhaven, Brookhaven brings it to Covanta, Covanta burns it, and then brings the ash back to Brookhaven. So trying to come up with new markets, which a scientist in Stony Brook is working on for using the ash possibly for concrete composition, and just trying to figure out a way to reuse our recyclables and our garbage to where it won't have to be hauled off of Long Island. And Long Island is targeted because we are a single source aquifer, and it's okay to bury it upstate, but it's not okay to have landfills here. So it's forewarning, code enforcement will be going out and writing tickets if you're putting out bulk on household waste, because it's increasing the number of trips that we have to make to the landfill. We're going to have to look at our contractual obligations as far as what we accept for bulk. Mattresses are a big thing that was discussed the other day, Drew, at the Long Island Regional Planning Council, and, you know, because it takes up so much room in the truck that if you get 3 mattresses, you're, you know, making a trip. So it's, garbage on Long Island is becoming more and more of a problem, and the solution of just reducing everybody's trash from 4.5 pounds a day
And
for a
truck
single
caps.
person.
Truck caps too.
And truck caps, yeah, which I took a picture and sent too. I mean, a Lear truck cap for a King cab is put out for trash for bulk pickup day. I mean, that's,
Crazy stuff.
yeah.
I think the issue is sort of similar to the leaf pickup, though, in a way that if you're telling people what to put out, it still has to go somewhere. So I don't know
Right.
what the option
Right.
for that is. It doesn't reduce the amount of waste, it just puts
Right.
more of the onus on the homeowner then.
Right, and I also talked at the Long Island Regional Planning Council about the need to look at our farmers, because we have a large farm community, and the maximum capacity of 3,000 yards for mulching and composting, no matter how big the property is, whether it's 500 acres or an acre, you know, 3,000 yards just doesn't make sense for every single piece of property.
Yeah.
There has to be a scale.
The
and-
material will eventually have to go somewhere,
Yes.
that's the point.
Right, and with the capacity, with it maxed at 3,000 cubic yards, the farmers don't wanna take our leaves, because they need their stuff that they need for the farm, and taking our leaves puts them over capacity. So that is something that the Long Island Regional Planning Council will be looking at also. Because we can't put leaves out for curbside pickup. The Carter, the cost is gonna go up significantly, and there's nowhere to take it.
Isn't there a problem now that no one's really even taking glass anymore, right?
No.
We are.
Isn't that,
Yeah,
no,
we-
we pick it up, I know that, but I'm told that,
Trying to increase their restrictions from 5% to 0.5%
Wow.
for any type of
Right.
discrepancies or imperfections, so
Right.
it's virtually impossible.
And East Hampton is currently pulverizing the glass, and they were using it for roadside drainage and things of that nature. So the Regional Planning Council is looking at reuse and new markets for glass also.
And there's also a manufacturing facility that actually recycles the glass in New Jersey, and another one that pulverizes it for road beds.
Yeah, but the bottle bill was a big hammer on Long Island for the glass disposal and recycling. The
And
bottle
I'm-
bill from the state.
Right. And I'm sure you probably told the board about even the transportation regulations,
Yeah.
which all add to the increase in the price
Yeah.
for the disposal of solid waste.
For the E-log, for the federal regulations as far as how far and how many hours a day a driver can operate,
So
depending on what they're hauling.
So we're weighing pretty heavily on code for this, obviously. And I know code has 3 people now, and they're hiring another 2.
We have 4, but
You
we're
have
gonna hire
4?
2, yeah.
You know, one guy's dedicated to
Rentals.
rentals.
Right, so it's really 3 on code, you're right.
And our vehicles are all falling apart, but I know the supervisor's working on that.
Yep. They're not stopping, that's not gonna stop dealing with the issue of Brookhaven closing.
It is not.
So we have to
Right.
address that now
Yes.
proactively, and figure out our options. I know iSlip is working on a program, I know, Southhold has something in the works, and maybe we should reach out to other towns and see what they're doing.
Yeah, when you go to
All
the
phase, yeah.
Supervisors and Mayor Association, you
all
guys can
there.
all work together and come up with a solution.
When we go to these regional meetings, all the superintendents of sanitation from these towns are there.
Good.
And we usually
Yep.
talk to them.
Okay.
I know John Bunchuk from Southold.
Yeah.
And I have reached out to him before.
But with Brookhaven
Things change.
closing the
so-
landfill in 2024 and the cost of transporting off of the island is becoming greater, our garbage taxes are gonna go up. So the mission of the Regional Planning Council is to weigh it all and figure out how to reduce the amount of garbage that we're creating per individual person from 4.5 pounds a day to a lower rate, and then how we're gonna get it out of Long Island and where we're gonna take it. And with the E-logs, you know, once you get out of Long Island, once you pick up and get out of Long Island, you know, your 8 hours of driving time could be up. So then you're gonna have overnight stays, or you're gonna have trucks with cabs in it where the drivers can sleep before they can get back in the truck and drive back the next day. So a lot of the larger facilities like Winter Brothers are organizing with countries so that states, so that when they bail the garbage and they take it off the island, they can get a load coming back, so they're not hauling back empty. So there's innovative things that are being looked at so that the truck trip is not wasted. But with our crumbling infrastructure on the roads, it's really gonna be a problem in getting all this garbage off of Long Island. So they're talking about barge, they're talking about rail, they're talking about other things that the Long Island Regional Planning Council is going to look at.
And then you're gonna do the public awareness, you're working with engineering,
Yeah.
right? And so I think.
Yep,
they
Drew's
can-
sending out a letter.
It's on the
I
website.
wanted to chime in on that, the public awareness, are you gonna go out and try to make people aware of what they're doing wrong as far as they're
Concerning
putting out?
bulk.
Because again,
Well-
with the staffing that's currently in place, if, this is gonna be, I think, a full-time endeavor for code enforcement.
Well, this is the first step.
Okay.
And what we're asking code to do right now, we're asking the Carter to report to code and
I
to
understand.
engineering. And that is only gonna be on Mondays and Tuesdays that they're gonna be recording, cause that's the household pickup days. The other days are,
Are we gonna communicate to the resident, the homeowner, hey, listen?
we're doing it now.
Are we gonna
It
red
is.
flag,
It's
are
on
we
the
gonna red
website.
tag them or do something that says, hey, listen, you're gonna be subject to violation and being brought into justice court?
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the first forum
Okay.
for it.
All right, okay.
All right, people are aware now, it's on the website, and we'll be sending out Well, people
notices.
get, every year, the town is very religious about it, sending out the magnets, identifying
Oh,
the
yeah.
days.
Oh, yeah.
And on the engineering or the sanitation website, information is there.
We have a
As to
flyer
what
we
district
send.
you're in.
Correct,
We have a
and I
letter
think
we
we're
send
even,
out,
so the councilwoman worked with engineering on the public awareness, and I think we're also going to try to do a really simple, user-friendly pop-up on the sanitation page. This way, if anybody has a question, you know, when is my pickup day, they can, hopefully, we're gonna put it in place where you just tap the area where you live on a map, and it'll come right up and remind you. But one of the biggest things is that will save all taxpayers money and keep our garbage down is instances wherein we have major construction projects and they're putting that at the curbside.
Yep.
You're not permitted to do that, you know.
Yeah, it's
Small
6
home renovation projects with C&D you can do, but total house gut jobs, that's not acceptable. And,
Right.
you know, we
Get a
know and receive phone calls that that's going on.
Right, and the corridor is going
I
to
see
be
that.
taking pictures and sending it to us,
Yeah.
so we'll have a better handle on that, and we're really going to be sticking to the 6 bulk items a day. So if you have, you know, a desk, a chair, and a headboard, and a footboard, and a bed, you know, you're there. So you need to really pay attention to the 6,
Right.
6 bulk pickup on bulk pickup days and 4 household waste. And the, you know, sanitation or our corridor is also going to be paying attention to excessive garbage put out at the curb by a particular house. Because you're only permitted to put out 4 bags a day, they're not gonna go overboard with it, you know, if it's consistent with the amount of garbage that's being put out. But if there's excessive garbage and garbage pails that are filling over, you know, code is gonna start questioning whether or not that's an overcrowded house. So it's all gonna come together, I think, to reach our goals and what we've been discussing for the last couple of months, and hopefully we'll be able to get a better handle on it.
And so the town board is aware, the councilwoman, myself, and engineering staff, we're going through actually the trip tickets. And we're going, you know, we went back to 2017 all the way up to the present regarding tonnages of both solid waste and recycling. The councilwoman actually checked and verified, quote, wait times at Brookhaven, because that's an issue. And so when we have a truck that has to make a second run, that it's almost like a full day, because they're already
It's
waiting
2 hours.
online 2 hours. Now they have to come back through because of the excessive garbage that's being put out, and then go online for another 2 hours.
Yep.
You know,
And I have a meeting with Senator Laval tomorrow afternoon to discuss the legislation, because right now, when they come with their garbage trucks to Riverhead Town, they're paying minimum wage. But once they are on the clock in Riverhead, it's prevailing wage, even when they're sitting there for an hour or 2 hours a day waiting to tip. So trying to get that changed to where it would go back to minimum wage to save the corridor some money when they arrive at the yard to tip, so that during their wait time, we're not paying prevailing wage while they're just sitting in the truck.
Hillary, I like the idea that you talked about, that people can get the information by clicking on something,
Right.
because from my understanding, the sanitation calls are the bulk of a lot of the work that has to be done over there. They tie up the phones a lot, don't you
That's
get
true. Well,
a
there's
tremendous amount of calls about sanitation?
one person devoted to that,
Right.
but everyone takes sanitation calls. And we
Yeah.
can get between 30 and 50 a day.
Yeah, I know people want information, but maybe this way they can, I think this is a great idea.
perfect. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, folks.
All right, next on the agenda, possible cul-de-sac on Dogwood Lane, Wading River.
So, as liaison to traffic safety, this came up because the people that live on Dogwood Lane are seeing a lot of speeders going down Dogwood Lane from Dogwood Drive from 25A. And with the church on the corner and with other commercial,
Dogwood Lane.
other commercial properties.
Dogwood
Drive it, yes.
Okay. They
So-
put down here, okay.
So with the amount of commercial that's being built up on 25A and new businesses that are coming in, and with the church there and their expansion, there's a lot more people that are using Dogwood Drive in order to get through Wading River. And Waze is also taking a lot of people off of 25A because they don't wanna sit and wait for the light on 25A at Wading River Road, which tends to back up sometimes all the way to William Floyd Parkway. So the Waze is taking them down. Even though the
Only
chief,
during
the chief tells me
only
yesterday.
in season.
The chief tells me yesterday, well, maybe we can get Waze to take Dogwood Drive. I said, good luck, chief.
That would be
Okay, and
ideal.
who do we have here?
John Hogan.
John
I'm a
Hogan?
resident of Dogwood Drive.
He's the
I'm
complainant.
representing some of the.
Oh,
the-
so
the
here
families
are,
on the block.
here is what
You're not
he is
the only
requesting.
one.
If you could
I
take
try
one,
not to complain.
one
Okay.
second. If you could take
I
one,
recall your complaining, John.
if you could take one and pass it down, it's actually John Hogan and Marge Acevedo that are wanting a solution to the problem. And here's the
So,
map for you
it's
guys.
not just the speeding, it's just the heavy traffic,
Correct.
because,
In the,
okay.
in the summertime, and during pumpkin season, and Christmas time, when the
I don't know
25A, whenever 25A gets bad, and sometimes it
Yeah.
can be backed up to William Floyd, but that's
Oh, I've seen it.
excessive.
All the way to
You know,
William Floyd,
That's
yeah.
the extreme.
Right,
But whether it's by GPS or by people just know it, they come up Dogwood Drive and they get to their destination, whether they go up North Wading River Road or North Country Road, or if they're going to Wildwood, I don't know where they're going, but they're using the road to take them to wherever their destination is. And which from what I understand now, North Country Road is having a problem. I see the speed limit signs up over there, and
Yeah.
the police are sitting out there also.
so it's not just this
Well, it's a
speeding.
combination
The
of
reason I
both.
bring it up, and Gio's not gonna wanna hear this, but, I was in Rocky Point, recently, and they have the same kind of stuff, but they were actually they had speed bumps on a lot of the roads, but they weren't, you said people hydroplane and such, but they had low-level ones, but,
Speed tables or speed humps.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Speed humps?
what's
We probably have
happening,
speed humps.
what's
yeah,
happening
they were
is,
Speed humps
not-
is like
yeah, they were
gradual
not
speed
high,
hump.
and that's why I'm asking if
Where
it
were
was
they?
speed, or if it's, but
She
you're
said
saying
Rocky
it's
Point.
It's a combination
like
of
Sound
both.
Beach, Rocky Point area.
so Dogwood Drive, they're taking Dogwood Drive down to Gully, and then Gully to North Wading River Road, back up to 25A to
Right.
avoid the wait time at the
You just
Wading
gave
River.
away the secret now.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
people are
Waze.
gonna be using it.
It's
It's
gonna
Waze
increase
that takes them
traffic there
there.
even more.
And it's also taking larger vehicles also. You're getting a lot of FedEx trucks, UPS trucks
Yeah.
that don't wanna wait either. They're coming up the block
Yep.
and doing it. And now you have people also, you know, it's seasonal, like the chief said, but they're throwing their garbage out the windows also. And it's not local, it's not just the McDonald's or the local pizzeria. You're getting garbage from,
Oh, you
you know,
didn't-
other
you wanna see
towns
all this?
that are being, you know, left on your lawn or in the streets.
See what I'm-
Yep.
And now they're adding that trail to the trails there, and there's a question as to where are these people going to park when they unload their bicycles to get on the trail? They're not allowed to use the school anymore, the school is closed off, it's got barriers up. It also has, no parking signs in front, and there's no trespassing signs, so they're gonna use Dogwood Drive now as a place to, you know, take their bikes off the racks and get on.
And leave their cars parked on the side of the road.
Exactly.
Anyway, with eastbound traffic, there should really be a no left turn there anyway, because it just creates so much traffic on the oncoming side too. Like when people are going into the Dunkin' Donuts over there, it causes so much
I'm
backup.
surprised that there hasn't been
Yeah.
a serious rear end accident over there.
Right.
Because I know when I'm coming home west to east, you look in your mirror, your rear mirror, and his car's coming up on you, you just pray that somebody doesn't.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons to make that left going east over there that it slows down the flow of traffic altogether.
Well, that's what happened. You have all these commercial buildings in one area. What do you think's gonna happen? We gotta stop that. We don't need any more buildings around town. That's from what I see. I just wanna understand,
That's a simplistic approach that
keep it simple.
other people are saying.
Keep it simple.
But because of the hill, when the police go out and they put the flashing speed limit sign up, you can see cars are coming down that hill over 50 miles an hour.
Mhm.
The thing's flashing. That's really excessive for 30, and and the road isn't that wide. It's not a narrow road like some of the developments, but 50 miles an hour is really excessive, especially if somebody steps off a curb, putting your garbage pails out, getting your mail or anything. You don't have enough time to react.
And it's a hill, so people are flying down that hill.
Exactly.
And we had the complaint from Mr. Gonzella a few weeks back that he was at the work session talking about the excessive traffic that's now occurring on North Country Road, passing by his farm. And this is all a matter of the Waze app taking them different ways
Yeah.
to divert the traffic. So it's going to be, you know, it's a problem. And we need a solution. And something that was discussed with the neighbors was to put a cul-de-sac on Dogwood where the commercial development ends, and to have the, so that people couldn't go through Dogwood to get to Gully and then to North Wading River Road. So I wanted to bring it to work session, chief just says no.
I'd like to hear what Chief and Geo have to say.
I say no on everything, so.
That's why we're
I say
here.
Mr. No.
What is
Go ahead.
what is your thinking?
The only thing that concerns me is response time for first responders, so EMS, fire department, police department. So they have a direct shot. I'm glad to see that it's south of the residential,
Mhm.
right? Because if it was, I thought it was gonna stop more up towards Overhill, I guess. And then those people you'd be doubling the response time for anyone to get to them, especially from the firehouse, which is ambulance and fire department. So I'm glad to see that it's further south on Dogwood Drive.
Mhm.
I find it hard to believe that Waze is actually taking you off 25A for this short distance and directing you up to Gully and up then back to, Winning River Manor Road.
Well, they'll
I'm
take
thinking
you off
it's
the
taking
expressway
less
for
than
10
Right.
minutes and put
Yeah,
you
no,
back
I
on
know,
the
that's true, I guess.
That drives
Right,
me
so if
crazy.
it's, right,
Where is
30
that?
seconds less, I guess maybe it does do
Navigation
it.
will take you off the
Oh, okay.
expressway
Or sends them
and then
down
put you
Parker
right back
Road.
on the
Right,
I haven't had that, seen that
Oh,
yet.
it's
No, I mean, I
good
can
to
see
Okay.
going that way, maybe up to North Wading River Road,
Mhm.
then over to Holst Landing
Right,
Road.
right, 'cause
That
then
I
you're
can see.
bypassing
Right, maybe.
all of that.
And I
St.
know we have the
Helena.
same problem out at Sound Shore. They complain about that during
Oh,
the
yeah.
season, that becomes a bypass.
As far as response time goes, I don't think the fire department really uses our road that often. I've seen the ambulance going on a run and returning one time in the last year. A lot of times you hear the sirens go off. They have a straight shot up North Country Road, because they're in a valley. They have a straight shot up North Country, right onto Wading River Manor Road to the traffic light. If they're coming up North Country Road, they have to slow down to make the turn onto Gully, then get up speed again, then slow down again to
Yeah,
make the
but
turn onto Dogwood.
Let's say there is a situation, John, just north of the cul-de-sac, or north of the dead end, whatever you wanna call it.
Mhm.
And now they have to go out to the hospital. Not going right onto 25A, they gotta go all the way back through Wading River and then up to the light,
Well,
or over to Randall Road.
It would be like any other
mean, that would be
development
a
that's in Wading River.
That's adding minutes to, it could be a life, life or death situation.
What do you think, Geo? Didn't you used to be the fire chief?
Well, the thing is, that I see is, Waze will probably take you that way if traffic's all the way backed up. It probably doesn't happen all the time, only when traffic's backed up, but
Well, maybe.
common sense
Right.
tells me that if people are utilizing this, what is it? Dogwood, so you're going all the way north, then you're going southeast, and then you're going east, just to come out on that little short road by the gas station there.
Debbie Lane.
Probably
So
not
you're
even
coming
saving
right back
time.
into the traffic that's
Right.
backed up there, so
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense. If you wanna go to the state park, okay, I can see going down that way, making a left, going up, North Country, North Wading River Road, go to the state park. I think the biggest issue is the amount of traffic. Maybe we need to look at, this light here. I mean, I'm sure with technology now, at certain times of the year, between 3 and 6, you got a heavy volume of traffic. Maybe we can get the traffic moving east and west for 5 minutes instead of 4 minutes.
Yeah, but dumping all these households or everyone else in northern Wading River to the light here at 25A and Wading River Manor Road is going to make that intersection a
Yeah.
mess.
Well, there's three ways out of Wading River. There's the north-south. You have
Right.
Holst Landing Road, you have Wading River Manor Road,
Right.
and then you also have Randall Road
Right.
going further
Right.
west. That people would have an option, and maybe if people didn't use Dogwood and they went to the Randall Road one, if they were heading west, maybe downtown would see a little more business too. Those stores have been
Yeah,
open
but then
down
they'd
there
be
for years.
complaining about too much traffic down there. Either way.
Yeah, right, I say, I always use Randall Road.
Yeah.
If I was on Randall Road, I'd be asking for a dead end, because that road's 10 times worse than your road.
Well, they got a lot of big developments that empty onto that road.
So this is a
And all
cul-de-sac
along
with
Northern Wading River.
a dead end.
I'm sorry?
This is a cul-de-sac with a dead end also?
Yeah, just north of 25A, right before you get to the residences,
Right by the church, Gio.
just past the church.
Where
Right.
power
So,
lines are.
I just add, now I got 85 cul-de-sacs to clean during snow season. I don't know, to be honest with you, to make that a dead end, now my guys plows over this way, now they gotta come all around the block to get to this little short section.
John, have you polled every, property owner?
I spoke with the neighbors to the north of me.
I mean, everybody.
No.
So Overhill and all
No.
the way up on the other end and stuff like that.
I was thinking if
No,
we
I-
were going to be doing this, Chief, which I discussed with you yesterday, we'd probably wanna set a public hearing and let everybody in Wading River know that this is happening, let the, let Bernadette Budd know, so that she can put it in the local paper, and people can come out and tell us how they feel about it.
Think so.
Well, we should think
Also,
about how
I
we
think you
feel
should
about
check
it
with the
first,
fire
I think.
department.
That's what we're doing.
Fire department first, because if traffic is getting that jammed up, I believe going up Gully to this point, if you need to go west, may be a shorter route, at least for the trucks anyway, because if you look at that intersection and the size of the trucks, and a fire truck coming out trying to make a right or a left, there's
Wading
hardly
River
any room at
calling.
that intersection.
They're listening to you.
But there is no room, these trucks are a lot bigger now, so either the intersection needs to be widened there, so the trucks can make room, or this may become more valuable than you think for emergencies. I mean, you're not losing a whole lot of time, as far as I see it.
I mean, by
And-
cutting
and-
You may need this as an ulterior, route going this way, rather than if this intersection's jammed up down here.
And Gio, maybe you can take a look and see what the road width is that we have on Dogwood, because we probably have less pavement than we have actual road width
Well,
in the right of way.
If I had to guess, I would say 50 feet. Most of
that
the roads in
enough?
town are like 50 feet, 40 feet.
Is that
Sound
enough for,
Avenue is 66 foot the right of way.
is that enough for a fire truck to turn around to create a cul-de-sac there?
It probably could, but I don't understand why you wanna close that off when it can be, like I said, if you need another route to get out here, if this is all jammed up down here, you may wanna ask the fire department first before you start
Of course.
shutting this off.
Did you ever put a car there?
Yes. For
I
enforcement.
mean, we all know we got a speeding issue in Riverhead. I mean, we've been saying that for years, and I'm sure the chief and we coming up with all kind of ideas, the flashing, signs and everything, but like I always said to the chief, I mean, the signs are great, but if nobody's there to enforce it, then what good are they?
And the
So that's
signs-
one of the other issues we have in town. I mean, we can put everything up all we want, but before you close this off, I would talk with the fire department
Of course.
before you
maybe-
shut
Fire
this off.
department
Yeah, and
has
if we-
ambulance too out there, so.
Yep.
If we don't follow through on the, if we don't end up doing this, I still think we should talk about some speed bumps, because you do have people flying down that street.
Yeah, it's
So,
excessive.
so on that,
some other ones.
our traffic engineer is H2M for the town. So that, we looked at speed humps for Parker Road or North Country Road, whatever you
Right.
wanna call it.
Mhm.
And it was not recommended for that road. They recommend them for developments, condo complexes, things like that, but they do not, recommend them for roads
That have
over 30 miles an hour.
through traffic,
With
okay.
through traffic on there.
Yeah, where I was like a little neighborhood, you
Yeah.
know, going up near the Sound and
Certain
such.
speeds, like you said,
Sorta
over
like
30
this
miles
street,
an hour.
Where it was hilly.
Yeah.
Right.
Certain, anything over 30, once you go 40, 50, the faster you go, the more airborne you get. At a slow speed, you just kinda go over it, but.
It's gonna defeat the purpose, and you're gonna have more
Maybe-
accidents, and
And then I'll be
you're
doing
gonna have
more
another mess.
I'll be in more
Yeah.
depositions
Maybe you could ask how
and.
that works
Well,
out.
in the village of Patchogue,
I've
they
heard
have
this
two of them on South Ocean Avenue. It's just
Yeah,
south
but
of
that's a whole
Montauk
nother,
Highway.
that's a whole nother ballgame. You can't compare that because that's commercial area.
On
and
south,
peop-
it's where it's all residential. When you go south of Montauk Highway,
Yeah.
just over the railroad tracks, once you get past the railroad tracks, that's pretty much all residential.
But that's, you can't compare Patchogue to Riverhead. The whole topography and everything is just totally different.
What do they have down
So we have to come up with
Oh,
something
tell that to
just for
everybody.
Riverhead.
Tell that to
Speed bumps,
everybody.
They're about
Yeah.
14
I'm
feet
constantly
wide,
hearing about
and it's
Patchogue.
posted on both
Yeah,
sides of the
you
street.
You can't compare.
that
Riverhead is
noise-
Riverhead,
Slow
Patchogue's
down,
Patchogue.
and for the plows to lift their blades.
What's the speed limit down there?
It's 30.
30.
Just like-
So you're
just like-
saying speed bumps
You have to
aren't
keep
good
it
when
under
it's
30
commercial,
usually.
or when when
When
they're
you have those some.
not so bad in the little
I think each road,
neighborhoods.
if you're gonna do speed humps, each road should be looked at, and not just because you have 58 and you have a road like, this road here. Every road is different, you have to look at what roads you are, you can't compare them all the same. You can't put them as all the same, each road has to be looked at.
And
Well,
Gio,
we certainly understand your concerns, Stephanie.
cause,
We're hearing you.
Because the preserve off Youngs Avenue is saying now that with those new 2 subdivisions, with the Bating Hollow subdivision and Mastro, that people are coming down the preserve and they're racing through there to get back, to get up to Youngs Avenue. So they were requesting speed bumps there, and, you know, Chief and I are gonna go look at it and possibly look at some stop signs there or some,
Maybe they should, you know, a lot of this, it's your own people in your own neighborhoods are speeding.
So,
I mean,
how well we know that.
90% of it.
So
Why
I-
don't you have your association meeting, slow down in our neighborhood, you know?
So, yeah, there's a little story with that. We're out in full force on Parker Road with speed enforcement. And one of the big complainers down there about the speeding was stopped the other night going 13 miles an hour above the speed limit.
yeah. And then Gio did accommodate the, what was that, Williams Way in
Yeah.
Calverton, where he put the speed bumps in, and then the people were like, we want him out.
They wanted another one, and I go, you didn't want the first one I put in.
That's uncommon.
Because when trucks hit
That's
it,
very
it
common,
made,
actually.
it made too much noise. I mean, 90% of the time, and I'm on the
Oh.
road every day, it's just people in their own neighborhoods that are speeding. We had that issue on Sound Road.
Yep.
And the people were complaining. Who do you pull over? 3 or 4 people that were complaining.
Yeah.
I'm like, so,
Do as I say, not as I
Yeah.
do.
Well, now too, with the rails to the trails that's going in, you get people that aren't familiar with it, if they could just come shooting out on a bicycle, if they're jogging, they got their earbuds
Right.
in, and they fail to look north to south on the road.
Yeah, be louder.
Louder.
What's that? Oh.
Louder.
and they-
Voice.
okay.
I know you have it.
And
you know.
people, fail to look, they'll get mowed down.
Right.
but I'm sure they're
You
gonna
know,
put up,
maybe even a
I'm
stop
sure they're
sign
gonna
there.
put up
It's
some,
something needs-
Signage.
they're gonna put up some
something needs
signage
to be
there. I mean, think about it. Anytime I cross the road, I always look, depending, especially out here. I mean, you gotta be pretty out there to cross a road and not look both ways.
There's a lot of people that.
So you're gonna need additional signage over there. A lot of this is, like I said, you can try to figure it out all you want with the volume of traffic we have. I don't see many alternatives to changing it, unless you, speed enforcement, I don't see how you get
We're
around it.
getting a lot more people out here.
Yeah.
Too bad we can't put
I say
something
put a
up that
toll
says
booth,
local
put a
traffic
toll
only
booth on
too.
these roads and get 50 cents a car, at least you're
That'll
gonna get all
never
I can
happen.
get money out of it.
Well, we did that on, Penny's,
What'd you
local
say?
traffic
Put a
only,
toll
but
booth up.
people just
Gotta
ignore it.
slow 'em down, put the 50
Okay.
cents in there.
Number one
But I can't see
Yeah.
it.
When it's
Well, we can raise the
stationed with a,
funds.
with an
Exactly.
We gotta
office.
follow up on the leaf issue,
Yes.
Yes.
okay?
Whenever
But,
you guys wanna
we
do
didn't
that.
forget
Okay,
about
we
it.
didn't forget about it.
Okay, so John wanted it brought, and I guess the community members do, so I guess it's up to the town board chief and I. We have fire chiefs next, on Wednesday, the 18th. So we can bring it up there, and then we'll report back
Yeah,
to the
whatever.
board and
Yeah.
figure out whether or
That's
not,
gonna be- That's gonna be something you need to look at, that the fire
So let us
department
know what they
responses.
say.
Yes.
Because
I know.
and then we can set a
Oh.
public hearing.
They use it all the
But it
time.
would be a resolution to set a public hearing if we wanted to bring
I
the
have
people
cameras
from
out
Wading
there.
River
You've
in.
never seen them go past the house. There's cameras on, my house. Like I said, the fire department very rarely goes that way. And I believe it's for the reason because it actually decreased the response time.
Where?
Pulling out of quarters, when they start up the hill, then they have to stop to make the turn onto Gully. Gully's another real steep hill. Stop at the top of Dorgan Drive and Gully, and then they can turn onto Dorgan Drive.
And John, you're a former fireman yourself, right?
Yeah, I was line company
Yeah,
chauffeur.
You have a little bit of insight
Oh,
into this.
man, let's set a time.
Hi.
Well, we're certainly gonna process this one, try to figure something out.
I appreciate it, thank you.
All right.
We gotta start somewhere.
I know what
Thank you, yes,
processing
thank you,
means.
and have a good day.
Thanks, John.
All right,
No, we
moving
need to
forward,
have some.
can I have a first, second, and second to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters surrounding the hiring of a part-time seasonal licensed water operator? Contractual matter, 2, contractual, contract negotiation regarding ambulance third-party billing. And lastly, contract negotiation regarding MTA LIRR Suffolk County proposed bus relocation plan.
Got it.
So moved.
First, second, and,
Second.
so moved, all,
All in favor?
all in favor?